Of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, WEFM is SUG.
It's time for Shakeup on WEFM 99.9.
And indeed, it's time for a shake-up at 60 minutes after the 11 o'clock hour. Our scripture reading is taken from Psalm 21 and verse 1. I lift my eyes to the mountains. Where does my help come from? My help comes from the Lord, the maker of heaven and earth. At this time, we'll get straight into the shake-up program with host Mr. Augustine Ferdinand. Good morning to you, Mr. Augustine.
Good morning to you, Narissa. Good morning, Charlo. Good morning to everyone listening to the sound of my voice. I really apologize for the very, very, very late start here this morning, but I had some urgent matters to attend to. But nonetheless, we're here, and the numbers to interact with us, 784-457-9997. That's 784-457-9997. And you can call us, send us messages on the WhatsApp number, 784-457-9994. Charlo, morning.
Pleasant good morning, my brother. Good morning, good morning. Good morning to St. Vincent and Grenadines. As Augustine said, sorry for the late start, but nonetheless, we are here. So, as usual, keep it clean, and we'll take it from there.
Yes. Well, usually on a Friday, we wrap up the entire week, more or less. I'm quite sure many persons are now seeing the photos and videos, or those who are simply passing by, those who hang around Little Tokyo. Basically the materials, sand basically, or silt, offloaded at Kingston Harbor, which will reclaim 16 acres of real estate, I would say, property or land in capital city Kingston, of course, for the port modernization project. Jala, one of the things I can't understand, there are experts in various fields. Yeah.
Yes.
I've listened to one or two programs, read one or two articles, and I gather the sense that some persons believe that maybe if they read something online, that they suddenly become an expert. There are so many things online, and we have to be very careful. We live in an information age, but we have to be able to decipher. There are certain things you're able to do to decipher what is reliable and what isn't reliable. You look at, if you're looking at a website, you look at really and truly the source, the person writing on the particular website, or the website itself.
Correct.
What is the purpose of the website? Is it a legitimate website? Is it for entertainment or the like? Is it satirical? Because there's also that. Persons who write satires, and some persons actually don't know to decipher between whether it's a satire or whether it's actual facts. But there are some persons, like I said, they operate as if they're experts, so whether they're in oceanography, in virology, geology, anything biomedical. And I often wonder, are you for real? Child, if you have a medical condition, you surely won't go to a lawyer to diagnose you.
Correct.
Of whatever ailment you feel that you have, right?
We'll never do that.
It's the same thing if you have a mechanical issue with your vehicle. You won't go to a doctor.
Correct.
You won't go to a teacher. You will go to a mechanic. If you have an electrical issue, although in some instances this happens, somebody may choose a plumber. But the plumber would do a shabby job.
Correct.
Because the plumber, even though he may have some basic understanding of electrical installation, would do a very poor shabby job in terms of where your sockets are placed, etc. And you can have problems down the line. You go to someone versed in electrical installation, an electrician.
Don't be surprised if you go to a plumber when they put on the light switch. You see your water come to the bulb.
You know, so again, I hear some persons, you know, we have the port modernization project ongoing, and they have all sorts of issues now to raise, from environmental to even financial.
Correct.
And I am like, but are you working on the project? Are you in any related field, professionally or expert-wise, on the project? Based on what I read, did you get any of these opinions from also experts who are in the field? None of that. But you come off and you say, well, oh, this, that, and the like. The experts know, the professionals know what they are doing. And the government has contracted a company called Cellhorn, which is an independent contractor, to give another opinion
Correct.
on everything that is taking place. Now, one of the other things, you know, there are those who, again, because of their jaundiced lens politically, they bring about these issues. They say, well, environmental. You know, they like to bring that up. We saw that with the quarry development in North Leeward, and I want to let people know that that is active. It's ongoing. And now they're doing it with the port modernization project. People must not forget it, though. And Charlie, you would know too, it's not too long ago. From basically the entire Bay Street was once water.
Yes.
Basically, the entire Bay Street was once water. It's now land. Surely, the reclamation of that land did more or less have an environmental impact. But we're now using it. Roads, businesses, commercial estate properties, and the like. Not so?
Correct.
We have roads in various villages. We even have feeder roads. They'll disrupt the ecological environment in terms of the animals, wildlife, and what have you. But we do it because it is necessary for certain priority in terms of our development. Farmlands, so that we produce more, so that we can eat. And of course, those road access to make it easier and even cheaper for farmers and us in terms of produce.
Yes.
So sometimes I hear some arguments come about. Oh, well, what is the environmental impact? And I'm like, seriously, you're driving a vehicle. All our vehicles give off emissions. Every single one of them. Unless you have, and even there, even if you talk about electronic vehicles, while they may not emit carbon emissions, the battery creates an environmental hazard elsewhere.
Yes.
Whether they're using lithium or the like, or cobalt and all these things, you have to mine them, mine those resources to create the very batteries that these vehicles are using. We have phones. Same thing. All the materials in them, we have to create environmental hazards elsewhere. And in some places, because they don't have proper environmental laws or even labor laws, in some situations, you even have child labor and people working for $2 a day.
Correct.
To create these devices. So sometimes I hear people come about with some kind of arguments, and I really ask myself, do you really sit and reason with yourself?
But you know, it's the same type of argument we had coming from these experts when the airport was under construction.
Oh yes, oh yes.
We had all kind of exports.
Yes.
Well, wait. I wonder where the wind shift is at Argyle.
Even that, we still waiting.
Yeah.
Yeah, those who say, well, you know, the winds, they're too strong, and you will have to have a wind shifter in the midway, as the planes won't be able to land properly and all of that and take off, etc. Again, it had a particular engineer who said the similar thing. The people who are involved in the project, they know what they're doing. And I heard some persons say, well, why do we leave it up to the experts? And we make experts as if they're all that. Well, if you don't think experts are all that, then it's better we just squash the 70-something and 900 and something scholarships we give in.
Correct.
If you don't think that experts are all that they are. They work hard, they study hard, they achieve, and they contribute to our economic development, providing the skills and knowledge that they acquire
Most definitely.
during that learning process. It's the reason why the doctors charge the fees they charge and the lawyers charge the fees they charge, because they work hard and they acquire the knowledge in order to either represent us or to provide clinical and medical diagnosis to us. And therefore, those working on the port project, they know what they are doing. And at the end of the day, when that port is finished, it is going to benefit us all.
Every one of us.
From the shop owners to the farmers, those who are in retail, because they're dealing with import and exports.
Yes.
And they want to have efficiency in terms of port operations, because that is all part of the modern port project, efficiency. Where you may not even have to be able, a lot of these paperwork and things, you do them online and therefore you go and collect your stuff.
Yeah. That's how it's going right now.
I mean, so
it started already.
So
yeah,
that is, yes, that is it.
Yeah.
So I really sometimes I sit and wonder, why do some persons go down a particular road or a particular line?
Well, we could say the political colorization in all of the utterances.
Yes.
I mean, the total against this government doing these things, well, they will look good.
So we have a call. Good morning, call. Welcome to Shakeup.
Good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Prime Minister.
Pleasant good morning, sir. Pleasant good morning.
all the best to you and your listeners.
Yes, thank you.
I was going to call in this morning on
Scoop
on Star, but I understand that they had a problem.
Yes, technical issues.
The technical issues.
Yes.
Now, there are just a couple of matters I just want to provide information on.
Yes.
Well, first of all, I'm leaving. I just want to inform the country through your program that I'm leaving on Sunday for the United Kingdom. I'll be out about, let me see, 7 working days. So a week working days really, but which means about 9 days in all. I have a set of meetings to go through in Europe. Then I have to be in the United Kingdom for some of the meetings and also to attend the coronation on the 3rd of
King Charles.
On Saturday the 6th for King Charles.
Yes.
So that's basically that particular announcement. The second thing that I want to announce has to do with in my role as acting Minister of Agriculture. Sabi is away.
Yes, PM.
In Vietnam, is doing some important work in the field of agriculture through the FAO and AICA, Food and Agricultural Organization. But we got an email yesterday that the Morocco Agency for International Cooperation, which acts on behalf of the Kingdom of Morocco, pursuant to the agreements which we have had, they're donating further a a shipment of fertilizer, 160 tons.
Wow.
They would arrive on sometime pretty soon. They hopefully they will be here on May the 2nd.
Okay.
So I made sure that I sent this to the people in the Ministry of Agriculture, because we have to. They would have gotten a copy also, but they had to make sure that the arrangements are made for this. This is quite a significant
Yes.
quantity.
Yes, sir.
Yes, it is. Significant production support.
So the farmers is good news. Now, I want to make a comment, if you permit me. Secondly, I taped a message this morning to the second European Union, Latin American and Caribbean Academic and Knowledge Meeting, Summit, which is taking place in Chile. And taking place in Spain. There's another meeting which is taking place in Chile. This one is taking place in Spain, and it is about building links, building a common European Union, Latin American, and the Caribbean space, a common space for higher education, science, technology, and innovation. And they're covering basically three broad thematic areas. Critically, comrade, the digital transformation of higher education. And secondly, knowledge for development and sustainability, and academic cooperation. And in that midst, two of the essential questions which we have to, which going to have some determination, is first, what measures are we going to promote to have a smooth and stable bi-regional between the two regions, so European Union and Latin America and the Caribbean? How are we going to have a smooth, stable bi-regional policy and academic dialogue on higher education, which, as you know, is a big thrust for this government? And secondly, what are the strategic actions that together we can agree upon to promote, to contribute to the building of a common higher education area between Latin America, the Caribbean, and the European Union? And as you know, we are expanding in St. Vincent and the Grenadines tremendously in this area, both at the community college and through the open campus and through other universities. So I just want to, while people talk in all kind of rubbish here and there, and trying to divert persons' attention with misinformation and jaundice views, that we continue to address things of substance. You notice I talk to you, there's a couple minutes I talking to you about agriculture, which deals with production, and which deals with people's livelihoods. You notice I'm talking to you about higher education.
Yes.
And the steps taken to build a common area. You see the importance of being the president pro tempore of CELAC, and opportunities which can be exploited.
Most definitely.
Huh?
Most definitely, sir.
Now, these, and in the same area, we are having the minister, the minister of tourism, and who is also the chair of the Saudi Fund, the Development Fund for Saudi Arabia, is coming to visit us here on the 29th of May. You know, we have signed an agreement for 2 soft loans. One which is going to take care of a top-of-the-line clinic to be built in South Rivers, and to do some repairs to 1 or 2 others. And then to build the cultural, artistic, and entertainment, educational production center, the production hub in Bellevue. Remember, I've spoken about that before.
Yes, ma'am.
The agreement has been signed, the financing agreement, the loan agreement. We just have to take it to Parliament. But the Saudi minister is coming for us to follow up on a number of things. And then there would be a satellite hub to that one down in North Leeward at
Petit Model.
Petit Bodel. Again, touching on concerning young people,
Yes.
their own development, their abilities in different areas. The production area is going to be agro-processing, and distribution of goods of all different kinds, agro-processed goods, and also goods in their natural state. So you notice how we link in all of these things. Young people, training, education, production, and then of course health.
Yes.
Now all these things are happening while the big project in Kingston at the port is taking place, and the dredging is going on now.
Yes.
And the agreement which we have had in relation to that. And by the way, as I've explained many times, that we were interested in having this matter dealt with scientifically, not in anybody making noise or having a political agenda saying this or that on the one hand, and the Acon construction company wanting willy-nilly to just want to go and dredge. No. I had to say, slow down. Everybody slow down. Let's work out the science properly.
Yes. Remember that very well.
And that's why I said I don't want proxy data from any previous study which was done when we built the Argyle International Airport. I want up-to-date data and independent scientific analysis. That's why, for instance, they had to do the bathymetric study for the particular area. Not give me proxy data. Give me actual data. And let me see what happened in the whole seabed.
Yes.
Well, that survey, that bathymetric survey, shows that there's no coral down there. There is no plant life. That's not a fishing bank. It's just a sandbank of over 10 million cubic meters. And 1/10 of that, 1.17, is going to be scraped off, and not at any level below 2 meters on the sandbank. And the study which has been done, independent study of the wave action by the University of Hamburg and the Wasserberg Institute in Germany, done through the initiative of our independent consultant, Selhorn,
Yes.
out of Germany, that there's not going of removing just off the top of it no more than 2 meters going across now in the particular borough area, the area where you're doing the sucking up of the material.
Yes.
And we have people aboard the vessel monitoring. And all the images, everything has, we have independent people looking at these things. And then, of course, the lives and livelihood issues where the fishermen would be affected would be transient fish, because it's not a fishing bank itself. You know, if you're passing and you're catching something,
Yes,
no?
it's just transient, just passing through.
Right.
Yeah. And it's not going to affect the airport. It's not going to affect Brighton, the beach. It's not going to affect the livelihoods, except, as I say, this transient, what you call transient fishing now.
Yes,
And that'll be disrupted. And there's not much of that. Disrupted for only a period of the dredging, which would be 6-7 weeks. No. And for that, they started by saying $1 million they want to offer. Well, we reached 20. 20 million. Well, we're going to make sure the fishermen in Calico and that shipping bay get something. But their livelihoods are not going to be seriously affected, or well, hardly affected. Only those who do the transient fishing there now, because that's not, the particular area is not the area where they fish. All right?
Understood.
And then the environmental issue, that's fine. I mean, when I hear people talk, people who oppose the building of the Argyle International Airport, they could be more interested in that than me. Who sweat and tile all over the day and night. Yeah. Come on, man. Come on.
Not because some of them wanted washed away by a tsunami.
Yeah. You know, so, and if you want to get proper scientific analysis, ask Lindsay Douglas, who is an engineer, who is on our port management committee, the project management committee overseeing this project management unit overseeing this project. Laura Anthony Brown is the head of that, and Linsky the number 2, but he's the technical man. And then we have the independent consultant, Selhorn, and we had other professionals there. This thing, fellas who don't know anything about these matters and who are not advised by scientists could talk and run off the mouth.
Exactly.
And then, in relation to these resources, to put some aside for a rainy day. We are going to do some stuff down in Brighton, and we're going to I want to do something at Lomans, where the fishermen moved, and I want to do something at Shipping Bay. The fishermen moved to Lomans from down at the Rose Place.
From Rose Place, yes.
So that's the broad way in which we dealing with this issue of the resources. The first payment of $5 million should be in the account today. If it wasn't there yesterday, of the Accountant General, I'll have to check shortly. Another $5 million is supposed to be there next week, Friday, no later than next week, Friday. And then the other $10 million within 30 days of next week, Friday. All right, that's the payment schedule.
Right.
Now, I want to make reference to a few things arising out of some comments from the crime symposium, because some people either didn't hear what I say or didn't appreciate what I say, and some read headlines by some people who want to truncate what I say. But nothing what I said can be contested. All what I said is true. For instance, I see a statement by the OECS Bar Association say that statements by me and Mia Motley at the symposium constitute an attack on the independence of the judiciary. Now, I don't know how intelligent people can sit down and listen to what Mia said and what I said to say that it constituted an attack on the independence of the judiciary. What Mia spoke about giving bail for murder, I spoke about that too, where some judges giving bail for murder, and in circumstances where right-thinking people are saying that, well, how is this happening? Of course, we have a law here which restricts giving bail for murder. If after the PI has been held, you can't come and you can only come to ask for bail
After the preliminary investigation.
9 months after the PI.
Okay.
That's a law which is on the books here. So we have some restrictions on it. But in several jurisdictions, and we were talking across the region, that, and I see this trend, a worrying trend of a number of judges giving bails for murder in circumstances where you say, well, what is happening here? Then it is a fact that a number of judges across the region, we weren't just talking about St. Vincent and the Grenadines or the OECS, across the region, that there are some judges which allow some lawyers to want to take control of the court and a whole set of adjournments. Sometimes the lawyer has too many cases. Sometimes it's a matter that the lawyers paid part of the money and he ain't get all his pay yet, and he use some reason so that he could get an adjournment.
Yes. all those strategies.
He's not properly briefed.
Michael, you know the story too?
Definitely, sir. Most definitely.
Then we know that across this region, because I hear the complaints from ordinary people, that some magistrates, not that they're in collusion with lawyers, but some people say that some lawyers get away with certain things in front of some magistrates which they shouldn't get away with.
Yes, that happens.
No, everything which we have said there is factual. Then the OECS Bar Association went off on some red herrings about the independence of the judiciary. Nobody is attacking the independence of the judiciary. In fact, both Mia and myself, and I very much so, reaffirmed our commitment to the independence of the judiciary. Then they also went on red herrings to talk about presumption of innocence. I especially said that no one is asking for any solution outside of the Constitution and the law, and that we revere very much the protections given for presumption of innocence and for somebody to be tried in front of an independent tribunal in a reasonable time and have the right to a lawyer. All the procedural requisites as laid out in the Constitution, we defend them, but they gone off as though that is that somebody was criticizing all of that. So you have a lot of red herrings. The truth of the matter is that nobody, and the Bar Association says that they acknowledge that nobody is above criticism, you know. And I made the point, including the judiciary, I made the point. I said at the symposium that justice, the delivery of justice, and what judges do is not a cloistered virtue. And persons are permitted to make reasonable criticisms. And the judiciary is not so fragile that it cannot withstand reasonable criticism.
Correct.
But they've gone off on this. And we talked, not that's only one aspect of what we talked about. Then they threw in the red herring that there are other things. But we spoke about lots of other things.
Yes, we have. And Prime Minister, your comments were also carried on the pages of PM Rowley and some persons may be surprised, Prime Minister Andrew Holness.
But the point about, well, I spoke things which some persons, including lawyers, don't want to hear, and some other persons don't want to hear, including some opposition parties, including our own the opposition in St. Vincent and Grenadines.
Mm-hmm.
I spoke truths which are uncomfortable. I spoke about root causes of crime and proximate causes of crime, and gave an analysis. Now, if you don't take all what I say and you want to cherry pick about something and take it out of context, you can go ahead and do that. But I'm saying that what the Bar Association, OECS Bar Association, said is that I reject it completely. In where they're saying that Mia's comments and my comments were an attack on the independence of the judiciary. Far from that. We reaffirmed our commitment to that.
Yes.
I swear allegiance to the Constitution every time I take office, and I'm faithful to that Constitution. And I spoke about a range of causes of crimes, root causes and proximate causes, including areas in which the governments themselves may be deficient. But they don't want to hear that. Like, I know somebody I understand took issue with somebody who lectures at the university in Trinidad, that I mustn't blame women for people going to crime. I didn't blame women. I said that there are some persons who rob, steal, and murder to support women, some women who are high maintenance. And everybody in this knows that to be a fact. That's not an attack on women. I got two daughters. I wouldn't attack them. And the matter of this happening, Michael, you don't know that happening?
But it's a fact.
But Prime Minister, some also.
This is not a question of attacking women. I know in St. Vincent and the Grenadines that takes place. Michael, you're Commissioner of Police. You know that too?
I confirm that to that, sir.
So I don't know where these people live, but I'm not attacking women. It's the men I'm attacking.
And it can be basically
who do the
seen,
robbing and the stealing and the murdering.
seen as persons committing crimes to try and maintain a life they can't really maintain.
But
simple.
And look, there's so much could be said on that. But and then of course, and I had indicated that I heard that one or two, even when I was down there and I said it, I heard that one or two persons who preach, who I say the pastors have a role to play, and they'll be able to play a better role if when they're preaching, they don't try to scare us all to heaven by telling us frighteningly about hell. Michael, you go to some churches, well, some pastors in some churches, and that is what you get in, scaring people to heaven, to go to heaven because of hell. That's not how you that's not as I understand it. In my diary, which I have here, my 2023 diary, every year I put particular quotations inside of my diary. And I have 10 of them from the Bible, You know what are some of the others? Among those which I have here, Michael? For God so loved the world that he gave his only Son, that whosoever believes in him shall not perish but have eternal life.
Yes.
For God did not send his Son into the world to condemn the world, but to save the world through him. You notice, some people that say, for God so loved the world. That's not, is the past tense he used, for God so loved the world that he gave his son, that whosoever believes in him, in the son,
Yes.
you wouldn't perish, but you would have eternal life. Some translations say life everlasting.
Yes.
Wherein that you have hell. The fact that it says that you would perish, you have to take another theological step to get to hell. But you notice the emphasis there is on the belief in God and the love of God.
Correct, sir.
Then another quotation I have there is this. If I speak in the tongues of men and angels but have not love, I am only a resounding gong or a clanging cymbal. If I have the gift of prophecy and can fathom all mysteries and all knowledge, and if I have a faith that can move mountains but have not love, I am nothing. If I give all I possess to the poor and surrender my body to the flames but have not love, I gain nothing. And now these three remain: faith, hope, and love. But the greatest of these is love. 1 Corinthians chapter 13. You hear Paul writing there about the love? Love. Michael, you can frighten people about hell. But what about love? You with me?
Yes, I'm with you, sir.
And of God and of our neighbor. You remember in the book of Luke? And I have that also here. When the issue is posed, when the debate, the discussion between an expert in the law and Christ, and the expert in the law ask about how you could really, how you could get to heaven, how you could get salvation. They asked Christ that. He said, teacher, tell me about this. And Christ answered him, well, you have read the books, the ancient books of the prophets. Tell me what you think. The fellow said, the first thing, love the God with all your soul and with all your mind and all your strength. Huh?
Yes.
You remember that?
Yes.
And secondly, love your neighbor as you love yourself. And Christ tell him, you got it right. But the expert in the law wasn't satisfied with that. He went one step further. He says, well, who is your neighbor? That's where you ask Christ.
Yes, correct.
And then Christ gave him the parable about
The Good Samaritan.
the being on the dangerous road to Jericho when the man was robbed.
Yes, yes.
And beaten and bloodied. And the priest passed him. The Levite passed him.
Correct.
Huh?
Correct.
If you had a politician, the politician might have passed him too. Depending on the politician, the same thing depending on the lawyer might have passed him too. But a good Samaritan passed.
Yes.
Somebody who was not Jew. And he bunged up that person's, cleaned the wound, bunged it up, took him to an inn, and told the innkeeper, well, when I come back, if the money I give you ain't enough, I go fix you up with the balance.
Definitely.
And then Christ then posed the question, well, who you think really there was the neighbor? And the legal expert answered, the one who showed mercy. And Christ tell me, get it right. And mercy and love are wrapped up.
Correct.
This is why I quoted Micah. What does the Lord require of us? Of you and me, to do justly, to love mercy, to love goodness, and to walk humbly with our God. But you want to tell me, in all them quotations I give you, I'm not saying that there's not an existence of hell, But you don't have to frighten anybody to heaven. Preach the word of God now, the love. of God and of the fellow human beings. Eh? You see the point I was making, Michael?
Yes, I'm with you, Pierre.
And Brother Ferdinand.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah,
Well,
comrade.
I suspected that's initially what it's about. I mean, it's not only the real, and even any psychologist will tell you, is that you show love. Love is one of the greatest things.
So I don't, when the leader of the opposition opportunistically also want to take issue with each of these things which I've raised, you know, it's just foolishness. What does he stand for? He stand for anything? I'm a leader, you know. I talk truths to our people in St. Vincent and Grenadines and the region. Well, I didn't even know Rowley put up what I said.
Yes, he
and
did.
wholeness.
Yes.
You think they put them off only because of joke?
Yes.
I happen to know that leaders in the who are down there, both political, administrative, and civil leaders, they came to me and they said, you know, Ralph, you talk things which some of us would like to talk, but we're afraid to talk. But I'm not afraid to talk the truth. The people in the country expect that of me. What I agree with the Bar Association about is that we must have a broad collaborative approach, which is why the symposium was called.
Yes.
But look, if you have to make a satisfying omelette, you have to break some eggs, you know.
That's true.
How are you going to do it without some eggs are broken? And as soon as you talk the truth about certain things, and I'm using metaphors now, you have some people from the Bar Association, the OECS Bar Association, come in to talk things which are unfounded. They should be applauding me and myself for talking home truths. And they should be urging lawyers not to waste the time in the court and try and manipulate the judicial system and the laws and the Constitution, because some lawyers do. But that you must have a fair trial. And that if lawyers do that, and lawyers say they're defending the client and use every ruse in the book, the judges should be on top of the game and say, don't waste my time, man. You know?
Yes.
We had a judge who used to do that here called Satchar Singh, for example, you know. And I know that Justice Brian Cottle, he tells the lawyers the same thing too. I don't want to single out any judges. So we have judges who have done to get trials going on expeditiously. But there are some judges and some magistrates who allow lawyers to try and control their court and control their schedule, and they have to be strong. What's wrong in asking that? Anything?
Not at all. There's no interference there in the
People,
judiciary.
don't you know that people across the whole Caribbean complaining how so much time wasting take part in the court? Don't you hear that all the time?
All the time, Prime Minister.
So if they think that I will back off from what I said, they have another guest come in, they could continue to attack. But I know the right thinking people in this community with nothing in this game other than the matter of having a peaceful and safe Caribbean would say that Ralph touched on some things that some people don't want to hear about. Some of them are uncool. Well, if I make the OECS Bar Association uncomfortable, and I'm sure the same thing with Mia, but out of this discomfort which they have, good comet, praise God.
Yes.
Eh?
Yes, indeed.
You, I know you all are coming up to lunchtime.
Prime
And you have
Minister,
to go.
just one thing before
Yeah.
you leave. There was this issue that
By the
came
way,
up.
let me say this. I have no malice or anything towards the members of the OECS Bar Association, you know. But in this dialectical exchange, in this metaphoric Socratic exchange, hopefully that the best results will emerge.
Yes.
All right?
Yes. Last week there were some rumors.
But what we must not do is for bar associations and governments to take positions in a way where the criminals laugh.
It's true.
Eh?
Yes.
Okay?
Yeah.
Yes.
So I'm not accusing the bar association of doing that. I just make that point because I said before I don't have any malice towards anything or bad-mindedness. I just wanted to respond. I don't know if Mia is going to respond, but so be it.
Okay.
You're asking me?
Last week there were some statements or rumors, well, rumors more or less, surrounding the NIS where some persons weren't paid. And the rumor was
Okay.
that the NIS ran out of money and the like. I don't know if you want to touch on that.
But this is the foolishness.
The NIS,
When I was,
they made a statement anyhow.
they made a statement.
Yes,
They should have, and I should have made the statement
Oh, no,
before.
exactly.
I told Stuart that.
Yes.
Eh? The matter was drawn to my attention Friday evening. And somebody told me it was on Honesto St. Vincent Times. Nobody had called me and told me. Stuart was out of the country. So when I got Stuart, he was boarding the plane. So I tell him I'll talk to him on Saturday. So I got him on Sunday. But my initial reaction to the person who told me, I said, well, there must be some glitch, some computer glitch where that happened. And I said, I'm sure they will try to sort it out. And it's just what I suspected. There's a computer glitch. So they had to do manuals. And they informed the banks. And while the people should have been paid by Friday morning, they were paid by 1 o'clock going on.
Yes.
Over 8,000 pensioners. Only I think out of the lot is 81 or so didn't get their money for whatever reason. I don't know because I got the numbers afterwards. On Sunday, Stuart was at the NIS when I spoke to him, Stuart Haynes, head of the NIS. And they were working out the glitches. They didn't do it on Saturday because some of the people who were supposed to have been doing the work are Seventh-day Adventists, and those are persons who take the Sabbath very seriously. And they worked out the glitches, and they did some other things to help, just in case anything were to arise like that in the future. Some backup system of some kind, or some alternative system. And on the very weekend, they input manually also, before the glitches were sorted out, the short-term payments like sickness benefit, maternity benefits, and one or two funeral grants. Those were paid on Monday. They normally pay the day after the pensions now. The working day after.
Yes.
So they were paid on Monday. No. You know, people don't listen, and some people don't listen. Some people just follow propaganda. The NIS is solvent. NIS has money to make all their payments. Stuart Haynes made the point, and I told him to be open and honest with the public. We need to have NIS reform, because if you don't do anything between now and 2034, 2035, between the contribution income and investment income, you will not have enough money to pay the benefits. Are you with me?
Yes, Prime Minister.
So you have to do the reform, you have to do the changes. What are some of those changes? Well, first of all, to recognize that the NIS was set up in a manner where the contribution income was relatively small in relation to the benefits which are given. In other words, it was a generously designed system. For example, you would know, Michael, that National Provident Fund, which preceded NIS,
Yes, sir.
NIS came into being in 1987. Provident Fund was there from 1979. Provident Fund was 10%, you know. 5% employer, 5% employee.
Yes, sir.
You remember that?
Yes, sir.
St. Lucia, the same thing in Provident Fund. When St. Lucia went to NIS, St. Lucia kept the same 10%. But St. Vincent put it to 5. 2.5, 2.5. And it's only recently it reached to 10. So you take a system like in St. Lucia, because the contribution income was building up so much all the time, they had a bigger reserve. So there's 3 sets of money which the NIS would have. Well, the sources of income are contribution income, investment income, and they put aside money into a reserve fund. The contribution income right now is about $64, $65, $67 million annually. Whereas the benefits is about 73, 74 million. But you got the money for the benefits, to pay the benefits from investment income.
Yes.
But because of the turmoil in the global economy and some of the investments, well, bulk of the investments are external to St. Vincent, that they took a knock. The investments took a knock. The investments are recovering now, but the investments took a knock 2021, 2022. So that they had to go to the reserve fund, which was being put in aside to pay the contribution income, to pay the benefits, sorry. Are you with me?
Yes, yes, ma'am.
The NIS, therefore, run out of no money, and they must stop talk that foolishness. But if you wait until 2034 and you don't do anything, for instance, you have to increase contributions, and you have to increase the age of retirement. You see what I mean?
Yes.
The same problem, in a more acute way, is facing systems in North America, in the USA, in France, in Jamaica, in Barbados, in other countries in the Caribbean. NIS systems, social security systems, always you require reforms periodically to make them sustainable on an ongoing basis. And that's all. But apparently, if you have an intelligent discussion, you always have opposition people, some who should know better and some who just ignorant and don't understand. They go off on a tangent. You see what I mean?
Yes.
Notice I say, some of them know
And some just
and know
ignorant.
better. Stuart Haynes, I told Stuart Haynes to go and inform the opposition, explain everything to them so that they will have a proper understanding. So if they're not, some of the more intelligent one wouldn't go and talk the ignorance, but they go play the politics. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like Leacock says, they're asking us for cooperation on this when they done cream off money from the NIS. Well, I mean, first of all, we're not asking for any cooperation. We state in the facts. We will do what we have to do. And the people will judge, as the people have been judging. And secondly, of all the investments, of all the monies, of the investment portfolio and loans and so on of the NIS, it's only 11% of it is to the government.
Which is
The
significant.
average across the region is 30%. Some countries reach even 60% borrowings from the NIS. And the investments which are done by the NIS with the government is a small proportion. Unfortunately, there were those investments because that is what helped the NIS in the period when the overseas investments had losses. The NIS is an entity with $500 million in assets,
Yes.
But if you get $67 million in income and you have to pay out 74 in benefits, that the gap has to be filled by investment income.
Yes. Investment portfolio. Yes.
And some of what comes from that, when you put it inside of a reserve fund.
Yes. Prudent.
But if the investments dip in any year, you put the reserve fund. But as the system matures, unless you do the reforms, you're not going to get the extent of the investment, the extent of the contribution income. And the investment income would not be enough to make up for the low contribution income.
Because the expenditure will continue to grow.
Absolutely. And more and more people living longer and retired and living longer and more payments. Look, in the early days, there's a small number of people you had to pay pensions for. Now you have to pay pensions for over 8,000 people. Yep. I'm talking about the pensions, the monthly pensions, the weekly the every 2 weeks pensions. All right.
Yes, Prime Minister. Thank you very much.
I go on Sunday. A lot of work. As you notice, I've been all over the place, both locally and in the region and elsewhere. You saw Barbados and St. Vincent and the Grenadines were 2 of the 20 countries asked to go to Colombia to deal with the matter of
Venezuela.
The sanctions with Venezuela and the internal processes in Venezuela. I see it said that is a gathering of left-wing countries met in Colombia to beat up on America. Come on, here are the countries: Germany, Argentina, Barbados, Bolivia, Brazil, Canada, Chile, Colombia, Spain, USA, France, Honduras, Italy, Mexico, Norway, Portugal, United Kingdom, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, South Africa, Turkey, and the European Union. 21 delegations. You know, when people don't know things, they just want to play petty politics. We have an issue down there with sanctions where we in St. Vincent and the Grenadines are, as you'd be saying military terms, and Michael, you will know this, when you don't actually, the combatants are not the only ones who suffer. You have collateral damage. We are collateral damage.
Yes.
Other countries are collateral damage too. And we need peace. The sanctions are illegal. 16, 17 of the delegations called for the removal of the sanctions. You know what I mean? Including countries in the European Union. There was a social fund out of a meeting in Mexico, which the Americans and the Venezuelans agreed to, the Venezuelan government, that money which they had frozen, the Americans, the sanctions, 3.4 billion US dollars, put it in a UN fund, a United Nations fund, to be spent in Venezuela. The USA keep their word with that. And European countries asked them to keep their word with that. Both the government and the opposition in Venezuela want the sanctions to end because the people are suffering from the sanctions. And we are suffering too.
Yes.
Then I met President Lavrov the week before, and he was doing a tour. I see this idiotic comment by Friday that Russia is using St. Vincent as propaganda, and it's a left-wing thing. So wait, all the countries they went to, including Brazil, which called for a group of peace, a group of countries for peace. Yesterday evening, that they're being used as propaganda. Yesterday evening, we had a CARICOM heads of government meeting by Zoom. Several issues were discussed. Haiti and Ukraine, those were the two principal ones which came on the agenda. And they asked me for a report on the meeting in Ukraine. And CARICOM is going to issue a statement on Ukraine, calling for peace. That is, it's high time this war is finished. That you must have mature diplomacy. And this war is causing hardship on peoples all over the world, including our people in CARICOM, because of the increased prices. Huh?
Yes.
No. If I don't talk, I talk to the Americans about Ukraine. I talk to the Russians about Ukraine. And what I'm interested in is peace, mature diplomacy, a solution there which is not going to expand the war, but to bring things to an end and to ease the suffering of people in the Ukraine, also in Russia, but mainly there in the Ukraine, that the money which is spent on arms, that should be spent otherwise. The disruptions which are taking place, making prices more expensive in our supermarkets, all that knock-on effect is taking place, you know. We don't live in a world of splendid isolation. That must be Friday world, not mine. And when I go on the road this week, I'm going on the road in Europe to speak to high officials in the European Union, high political officials in the European Union, in Brussels. I'm to meet one also in Britain, because he's also coming to the
Coronation.
The coronation. I'm trying to organize. We're trying to see our schedules could fix up one of the days to have a breakfast meeting. They're investors whom I have to see in the UK. They think the development which is taking place in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, I could just sit down one place. Eh? I don't want to trespass on the liberty of your radio station because they need to go to the news, and I apologize to the management.
But Prime
Jules.
Minister is a lot of good information.
Yes,
and
yes,
I'll
yes.
show the
Jules,
people. Though.
forgive me, Jules. Don't curse me. Yeah.
Yes.
And I see my partner Bing trying to get me, but Bing doesn't answer his phone. So when I call back, I can't get him. But more time and his love.
Yes, Prime
Always.
Minister.
And I want, by the way, last week I went to a funeral in Park Hill. And I went to the church. The service was held at the Evangelical Church. Written in the Evangelical Church are the three words, faith, hope, and love. And the evangelical pastor said he agrees with the Prime Minister. He said, we don't talk enough about love.
And
Love
that's
of
true.
Christ. Christ's love for us. Huh?
Yes.
He says, there's hell, and we have to talk about that, but we do, he said, I agree that we try to frighten people too much rather than talking about love. Now, how could that be wrong? And they're saying that I see Friday call on the churches to respond to me. Friday doesn't understand about the love of God. That how he...
Well, PM, I always put it this
how
way.
he loves us and we have to love him. Since I'm a boy, one of the first things, Michael, when somebody tell you something, they say if you don't believe me, you wouldn't believe John 3:16.
Yes.
Which is, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whoever believes in him shall not perish but have everlasting life. That's one of the first things you learn in Sunday school,
True.
Huh?
Yes.
And that has so much in it. And by the way, those are not the words of anybody else, Those are the words of Christ himself,
That's correct.
Huh?
That is correct, sir.
That's not a prophet who write that, That's not a disciple who write that interpreting anything. Those are the words of the Lord himself. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believes in him shall not perish but have everlasting life. You know it like how you know the Our Father prayer, because that is one of the first things you learn. That's all I was saying. They were arguing with me about that. But you see, they go off on all kind of tangents and they forget fundamentals. And Michael,
Yes, sir.
I'm a sinner in quest of redemption. The pastor on Sunday up in Park Hill said the root cause of crime is sin. He went to what he considered the root cause. By the way, on Sunday, I have to go to funerals. I just should send again my condolences to the family of Alfred John, former headmaster of the grammar school. His funeral is on Sunday at 12 o'clock. The service starts at the Seventh-day Adventist Church up in Calder. Was a fantastic human being. And then at 1 o'clock, a service starts. 2 o'clock, a service starts at the Seventh-day Adventist Church in Bellevue for Bally Johnson. Bally died.
Yes, Prime Minister.
Bally died. I'm going to try and see his widow this afternoon. Spoke to her already, naturally, and his son, one of his sons. And I had to leave the funeral up there and then come to go on the plane to go to England. You know? And then other people who would get up in the morning, have a leisurely late breakfast. Do what they have to do. They ain't gotta go nowhere. They have no obligation to do anything. And then they ask you, what are you doing? Eh? Hey, comrade?
Yeah,
That's true.
Yeah. But it's all right, man.
Yes.
God knows.
Yes.
Take care.
Thank you very much, Prime Minister.
a safe travels.
Good.
Prime
Safe
Minister.
trip. Yes, safe journey. Yes, that was Prime Minister of St. Vincent and Grenadines, Dr. the Honorable Ralph E. Gonsalves, of course, shedding light on a wide range of matters, national, regional, and global importance. As he said, he will leave the state on Sunday, but between now and then, there are many events and persons and things that he has to do as normal in his duties as Prime Minister of St. Vincent and Grenadines. But we're basically over time. I want to really and truly apologize to the management and staff of WEFM, but I'm quite sure the listeners enjoyed it. Quite a lot of information. And until we meet next week, I know Monday is a holiday.
Yes.
But so until Tuesday, do have a safe and pleasant weekend.
God bless.
The flavor nice, it's locally made. Affordable price, Lord, up to $3 retail. When you see we live.